When he approached us with the fact that he had an idea about a TV show.
When Tom Silva finally decided to speak, the truth hit harder than a hammer. For decades, fans saw him as the calm, unshakable face of this old house. The man who could fix anything. But what if behind those perfect projects were battles you never saw? Hidden tensions, costly mistakes, and egos that nearly tore the show apart. In a rare and unfiltered moment, Tom Silva has revealed the 5 worst employees he's ever worked with. The names, the drama, and the lessons that almost broke him. Stay tuned, because once you hear who made the list, you'll never see this old house the same way again. The first name on his list was Mike Holloway, a man who joined the crew in the early 2000s and seemed perfect at first glance. Mike had experience, confidence, and undeniable skill. His finishing carpentry was sharp, his framing strong, and his measurements flawless. But as weeks went by, Tom noticed something that couldn't be measured with a ruler: attitude. Mike was proud, loud, and believed he already knew everything. While this old house has always thrived on teamwork, Mike wanted to work alone, doing things his own way. On one renovation, he was assigned to lead a kitchen remodel, but instead of following the architect's design, he decided to change it completely. He moved the sink, shifted counters, and even removed a structural beam that was meant to stay. When Tom Silva walked in and saw the chaos, Mike simply said, "The plan wasn't working, so I fixed it." That fix cost the team 3 extra days and thousands of dollars. But the worst came later when Mike ignored a homeowner's request for reclaimed barnwood flooring, a sentimental choice connected to her late grandfather. Mike thought it looked outdated and secretly replaced it with new planks. When the homeowners returned, the woman was heartbroken. Tom took responsibility publicly, but privately he knew Mike's time was over. He finished the job but was never invited back. For Tom, no amount of skill could ever make up for disrespect to the craft, the crew, or the people they built for. The next on the list was Darren Cole, a man who proved that laziness can be just as dangerous as arrogance. Darren wasn't loud or rebellious, he was indifferent. He had an excuse for everything. "I'm waiting on materials. They sent the wrong size. It's too humid to work today." His attitude slowed down every project he touched. During a renovation in Cambridge, he was responsible for rewiring the upstairs of a beautiful colonial home. It was a tight schedule. Plumbers, drywallers, and painters all depended on his timing. Yet Darren showed up late 3 days in a row. When he finally started, he left live wires dangling from the ceiling. No caps, no junction boxes, nothing. When Tom Silva confronted him, Darren shrugged and said, "I'll come back to it later. It's fine for now." But fine for now could have meant fire later. The crew had to redo his work just to keep the project safe. His delays caused overtime, rescheduling fees, and endless frustration. By the end of the season, Darren quietly disappeared from this old house. Tom didn't need to fire him publicly. His work had spoken for itself. As Tom later said, "You can fix a bad circuit, but you can't rewire a bad work ethic." Then came Ray Jensen, the loudest painter to ever step onto a This Old House set. Ray wasn't just talkative, he was confrontational. He was brought in during a renovation in Arlington, Massachusetts, to handle the final coat of paint on a nearly finished Victorian home. But on his very first day, he showed up late, sat on the porch, and started complaining about the quality of the drywall. Within hours, his voice echoed through the halls. He shouted at co-workers, cursed when he spilled paint, and even insulted an electrician who had politely moved his ladder out of the hallway. When Tom tried to calm him down, Ray accused the crew of cutting corners. That accusation hit hard. Tom Silva had built his entire career on craftsmanship and integrity. Still, he gave Ray a second chance. But the next day, during filming, Ray exploded again, this time at a producer in front of the homeowners. Cameras stopped. The crew fell silent. It was over. Ray was removed from the project immediately. Weeks later, he posted a bitter rant online, calling the This Old House team fake and rigid. But the truth was simple. Ray's ego was louder than his talent. He brought noise, not quality. and in Tom's world. That's the quickest way out the door. The story of Carl Peterson remains one of the most painful experiences in Tom Silva's long career on this old house. Carl wasn't inexperienced or careless. He was a trusted professional, calm under pressure, and admired by fans and crew alike. When he joined the Boston Brownstone project, confidence was high. The work was challenging, a fragile, historic home with strict deadlines, but Carl seemed to handle it perfectly. What no one knew was that he had secretly taken another private job at the same time. To balance both, he handed off key responsibilities to a friend without telling anyone. Then disaster struck. During demolition, a deep crack echoed through the house as the ceiling shifted dangerously. Tom Silva rushed downstairs and discovered the main beam unanchored, resting on temporary jacks, seconds from collapse. Work stopped immediately. When confronted, Carl confessed. Devastated, Tom removed him from the show. It was a hard lesson. You can fix mistakes, but never a broken trust. The story of Greg Walters remains one of the most shocking moments in Tom Silva's career on this old house. Greg appeared to be the ideal hire, experienced, well-spoken, and seemingly dependable. His resume was impressive, his confidence unwavering, and his charm convincing. But behind that professional image was deception. It started small: missed deadlines, uneven measurements, and repeated excuses. Then came the red flags. Greg began claiming that inspections were already done, and when Tom asked for permits, he always said he forgot them. Sensing something off, Tom contacted the local building department, and what he found was alarming. Several of Greg's permits were incomplete, and some were entirely fake. Worse, Greg had lied to inspectors, saying construction stages were finished when they hadn't even begun. Tom immediately removed him from the project, halted production, and called an emergency meeting. Greg Walters was permanently banned from this old house. For Tom, it was a painful reminder that honesty builds trust, but lies destroy it forever. Through it all, Tom Silva remained what he has always been, the backbone of this old house. His journey began long before television, working with his family at Silva Brothers Construction in Massachusetts. He learned the trade under his father's watchful eye, building shelters, additions, and eventually the original set for the Victory Garden. When Russell Marash, the creator of this old house, discovered his craftsmanship in the 1980s, he invited Tom and his crew to join the show permanently. Since then, Tom has rebuilt countless homes and earned the trust of millions of viewers. Off camera, he's written for This Old House magazine, published a homeowner's manual, and taught audiences that good construction isn't about fame. It's about doing things right. On screen, he makes it look effortless. But every episode hides the pressure of tight deadlines, tricky designs, and constant filming. Every screw, cut, and coat of paint has to be perfect. Not just for the homeowners, but for millions watching at home. They're reminders of why this old house has endured for generations. It's not about fame or television. It's about trust, teamwork, and the quiet pursuit of excellence. Tom has seen arrogance, laziness, betrayal, and deceit, but he's turned each one into a lesson. Not just for builders, but for anyone striving to do good work. So, what do you think? Did Tom Silva make the right calls? Which of these stories surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you love true stories from behind the scenes of your favorite shows, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Because at the end of the day, every great house and every great legacy starts with one thing: a solid foundation of truth. Thanks for watching.